This episode is brought to you by Indeed. Stop waiting around for the perfect candidate. Instead, use Indeed sponsored jobs to find the right people with the right skills fast. It's a simple way to make sure your listing is the first candidates see. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs have 4 times more applicants than non-sponsored jobs. So go build your dream team today with Indeed. Get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Every sip of Coca-Cola brings you closer to the excitement of the FIFA World Cup 26. Because nothing compares to the joy. So grab a Coke and drink in the FIFA World Cup 26. No purchase necessary. 13 plus in 50 U.S. states and D.C. with a web-enabled device. Ends March 1st with 8 entry periods. Rules at cokeurl.com/soccerrules.
Hello and welcome to I Talk to Ghosts. I'm your spirited host, Jennifer, and I welcome you into my spirit parlor with me this evening. Have a seat, take a breath, and settle. I'm really excited to chat with you tonight. I was inspired to do this episode after our recent chat about spiritual protection. I think this new conversation will complement that episode really nicely. Tonight we're going to talk about how to stay spiritually optimistic when life feels heavy, chaotic, or unfair. I don't mean positive vibes only optimism or bypassing pain, but the kind of grounded spiritual hope that survives real life. So, connection feels easy when life is good, or even just neutral. Spirituality tends to feel effortless. During those times, during those days, we feel connected when things are going good and synchronicities are showing up. Our intuition feels clear, meditation flows, faith feels obvious when we are feeling emotionally fulfilled, in a good mood, when there's not a lot of conflict in your life. It's easier to trust the universe when nothing is actively shaking our foundations. Spirituality feels like a gentle current carrying us along. But then something happens. It could be grief, illness, financial stress, a betrayal in a relationship, a burnout, the state of the world, watching people you love struggle and you can't fix it. Sometimes it's one big event, sometimes it's a slow accumulation of small disappointments, and suddenly that spiritual connection feels really distant, really faint, and probably sometimes non-existent. You might start thinking, why would this happen if I'm protected? Did I do something wrong? Why can I feel spirit so clearly for others but not for myself right now? Or even, what's the point of trusting if everything falls apart anyway? And despite having all those thoughts, you may still believe, you may have faith, but it feels fragile. If you're feeling disconnected from your spirituality, it might show up for you as emotional numbness, irritation towards spiritual ideas that once comforted you, or you might feel abandoned or unseen by the universe. And then after all that, you might feel that guilt for questioning what you once trusted. But let me say this really boldly. This is not spiritual failure. This is a human nervous system responding to stress. And spirituality doesn't disappear in hard times. It just changes shape. And you are absolutely not alone in this experience either, no matter how isolating it feels. I know this. So let's reframe a little bit. Spirituality isn't a mood. We often confuse spiritual connection with emotional states, right? Let's think about that for a second. Spirituality isn't feeling calm. It isn't constant gratitude. It isn't being unshaken. Spirituality doesn't go away if you don't feel emotionally there. It is a relationship. And like any relationship, there are seasons of closeness and seasons of silence. We could doubt, frustration, grief. Questioning anything doesn't mean you've lost your faith. It often means your faith is maturing. You're working through something, and that's really noble. Spirituality is a very bumpy landscape. And if you're comparing yourself to others, they may only be showing you their good days. But everyone's road is personal, and it's going to be different for everyone. But I do want to support you no matter where you are on your path right now. So let's start with gentle practices for troubling times. These are not fix yourself practices. They're anchors. Small, compassionate ways to stay connected without forcing anything. Now, these are things that you can practice when the external world isn't matching what you need right now. Number 1, ground into the body. When life is overwhelming, don't reach upward first. Reach inward. Place a hand on your heart or your belly and feel warmth, feel weight, feel gravity holding you. And say quietly, I am here, I am held. You don't need insight. You don't need answers. Just your own presence. Feel yourself here. Exercise number 2. Shrink the time horizon. Spiritual optimism doesn't require believing everything will be okay forever. Just ask yourself, what can support me in the next 10 minutes? Perhaps it's a cup of tea, or stepping outside, turning off the news or your phone, sitting on the floor. Small moments count. They always have. And when things get hectic and frantic, we forget these things. But you can notice when you're feeling very frazzled or untethered, do a little exercise like this. Come back to the moment. Come back to yourself. My third suggestion is let nature do the heavy lifting. Nature holds steady when humans can't. Trees don't explain themselves. The moon doesn't apologize for changing. When life feels consumed by urgency, deadlines, headlines, conflict, fear, nature reminds us of something essential. This moment, no matter how chaotic it may be or feel, is part of something much older and much larger than the current drama. The forest has lived through centuries of joy and catastrophe. The ocean has watched entire civilizations rise and fall, and the stars have burned through the ages an amount of time we can barely comprehend. And yet, it's all here. It's still here. Spending time in nature isn't about escape. It's about remembering timelessness. Sit with a tree and feel how safe that feels. Watch the clouds move and notice how everything passes, even the things that feel unbearable right now. Stand under the night sky and let yourself be small in a way that feels comforting, not dismissive. Nature doesn't minimize your pain, but it does contextualize it. It reminds you that while your life may feel loud and overwhelming, there's always something grander holding the container, something slower, older, and more patient than fear. Let nature believe in continuity when you can't. Let it carry the long view for you. Another thing to explore when you're looking for spiritual optimism is speak honestly to spirit. In difficult times, many people stop praying, talking to something greater than yourself, not because they don't believe, but because they don't know how. There can be a quiet pressure to sound grateful, to sound trusting, to sound evolved, but real connection doesn't require the right tone. It just requires honesty. And if you're angry, confused, tired, or numb, let that be in the language. Those are valid feelings to express. You don't need polished prayers or sacred words. You don't need to know what lesson you're supposed to be learning. Try speaking exactly from where you're at. You can say things like, I don't feel connected right now, universe, or spirit, I don't understand why this is happening, or I feel forgotten, or I'm trying, but I'm tired. These are not failures of faith. They are expressions of being yourself, being human and honest, being raw and vulnerable, and reaching out to something that is greater than all of us. And silence, too, is okay. There are many moments when you speak and feel nothing. And if you feel like you're reaching out and only getting silence, that's okay. There may be moments when you speak and feel nothing in return. No signs, no comfort, no clarity. That does not mean you are unheard. Some connections don't answer immediately, but they remain present, like someone sitting beside you, saying nothing but not leaving. If words feel impossible, let presence be enough. Light a candle without asking for anything. Sit quietly without expectation. Just breathe and exist. You can say simply, I'm still here. I am still here. And trust that this staying, this honesty, this willingness to keep showing up even without reassurance is a deeply spiritual act. Now, with all of this, I want to cover another heavy topic, how to, as a spiritual being, how to respond to other people's negativity without losing yourself. At some point, many of us encounter someone who's fully engulfed in the belief that everything is bad, that optimism is naive or delusional or a form of denial. And sometimes that person is someone you love. When someone is in this space, they're often not trying to be difficult. They're overwhelmed, they're grieving or burned out, or trying to protect themselves from disappointment by expecting the worst. It can feel uncomfortable, especially if you're trying to hold a more spiritually grounded perspective. So here's something important to remember. You don't need to convince anyone to see the light. Optimism is not an argument to win, and spirituality is not a debate. When someone insists that everything is bad, responding with forced positivity often deepens the divide. It can make them feel unseen or dismissed. So instead, start with validation without agreement. You might say, yeah, things feel really heavy right now. And that's true. Or you can say, I get why you're exhausted by it all. Or you could say, it makes sense that you're angry. This doesn't mean you're adopting their worldview. It means you're meeting their nervous system where it's at. And if it feels right, you can gently name your own stance without trying to convert them. You might say, for me, holding on to small moments of meaning helps me get through it. And sometimes the most spiritual response could be boundaries. You're allowed to step away from conversations that spiral. That's not avoidance, that's discernment. And sometimes if we want to be our best for people, we have to be able to do that in an effective way. I'm not talking about abandoning a friend who is having one bad day out of everything. It can be more like, what do you do in situations where someone you interact with is constantly negative and it's draining to you? I'm talking about the times where if you have to step back, that's okay. If we feel like we're overwhelmed ourselves, I think it's best to do some self-maintenance before you can go and continue this conversation. Of course, we want to be compassionate, and of course, we want to be supportive. I am trying to address the times where that is very difficult to do, and I want to support you in that and discuss these different viewpoints and options and approaches to things. It's good to remember some people are processing the world differently. Some people are processing through their emotions of despair, and others are able to go through hope. And both are legitimate responses to life. And your job is not to carry everyone else's emotional weight, only to remain rooted in what keeps you steady, open, and human. And holding optimism in a dark world is not denial. And with that, let's talk about when negativity turns into hate or harm. There's a difference between someone who is hurting and someone who is actively spreading hate or harmful ideas. Not every perspective deserves equal emotional access to you. When someone comes at you with commentary that feels cruel, dehumanizing, distorted, mean, it's important to remember this. Spirituality does not require you to tolerate harm in the name of compassion. You aren't obligated to debate with someone who isn't seeking understanding. You're not required to stay open to energy that feels aggressive or unsafe. And you don't need to soften your boundaries to prove that you're evolved spiritually. You don't owe anyone a performance of your beliefs. I think there are a lot of different ways to affect the world. And it's important. I think it's really important to protect your mental and energetic health. Discernment says, I will not allow this into my inner world. And if your body tightens, your breath shortens, or your nervous system spikes, listen to that. Your spirituality is meant to help you stay human, open, not unguarded, and loving, but not self-erasing. Be mindful and thoughtful about how you respond. Are you allowing negative energy to lessen you as well? Is it making you hostile? Is it making you different? Take the time to make sure you're fortified in your being, in your own energy. If day-to-day negative energy and interactions make you less of who you were, that's a double harm. Choosing where you place your attention is one of the most powerful spiritual acts. Don't let other people's negative actions drain the world of who you were before and what you had to offer. The world needs what you have to offer. What might support look like? Checking in on someone who feels forgotten or vulnerable, offering patience to someone struggling, volunteering, donating, or amplifying voices that bring relief rather than fear, and being present and kind in small, ordinary moments. This isn't turning away from reality. This is choosing to participate in the part of reality that heals, because it's always there. Sometimes the most meaningful response is to tend to the places where warmth still matters. And by shifting your attention towards care, you reclaim your agency. You remind yourself that even in a fractured world, you're not powerless. And I know hope isn't always loud. So let's redefine optimism a little bit. Spiritual optimism doesn't mean expecting ease. It means trusting that growth can coexist with grief, meaning can exist alongside pain, and that you're not being punished when you're struggling. Sometimes optimism is simply choosing not to abandon yourself. If you're listening to this and feeling disconnected, tired, afraid, unsure, please know this: your spirituality hasn't left you. It's been sitting quietly beside you, waiting for gentleness. You don't have to glow to be guided. You don't have to be calm to be connected. You don't have to understand everything to be held by something larger. I know I talked a lot about sensitive topics and emotions tonight. What I'm trying to convey is that there's more than one approach, there's more than one mindset, and to make sure that you connect with yourself in small, meaningful, present moment ways so that you can see the bigger picture and have your spirituality reach in and support you and help you as you go. It doesn't have to be perfect. It does not have to be smooth. It doesn't mean it's not working when times are bumpy and rough. I think there are a lot of people out there doing the best they can and growing in the process. Even when it doesn't feel like you're on a spiritual journey, you certainly can be. And I wish you all my compassion and warmth and support as you go. You don't have to understand everything to be held by something larger. Thank you for spending this time with me in the Spirit Parlor. Be kind to yourself and those around you, and I'll meet you here again soon. Take care.
How many discounts does USAA Auto Insurance offer? Too many to say here. Multi-vehicle discount, safe driver discount, new vehicle discount, storage discount, legacy.
How many discounts will you stack up? Tap the banner or visit USAA.com/auto discounts. Restrictions apply.
Well, the holidays have come and gone once again, but if you've forgotten to get that special someone in your life a gift, well, Mint Mobile is extending their holiday offer of half off unlimited wireless. So here's the idea. You get it now. You call it an early present for next year. What do you have to lose? Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Limited time 50% off regular price for new customers. Upfront payment required. $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12-month plan. Taxes and fees extra. Speeds may slow after 50 gigabytes per month when network is busy. See terms.